Greetings to you and welcome to this episode of Grace Podcast. I'm Timothy Muse. I'll be your host as we spend this time together today. I want to thank you for allowing this podcast to be part of your journey, and I want to thank you for being on the journey, for committing to growing and advancing and looking at places in your life that need some extra energy or attention, and being willing to do it, having the discipline and having the intention to continue to invest in this. Thank you for that. Thank you for allowing this podcast to be part of it, allowing me to be part of it, allowing me to come alongside you. If this podcast is helpful, please share it out there. Put it out there on your social media feeds. As always, I post on LinkedIn, X, Instagram, and Facebook. If you follow me or the life coaching on any one of those feeds, you're going to see these episodes. Share it out there. Put it out there for others. Let's share this information. Let's grow this movement of bettering ourselves, of increasing our ability and increasing ourselves as part of the human community. If you're on one of the listening platforms, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Amazon Music, if you haven't followed us already, please do so. Give us a rating and review. Every positive rating and review helps the platform know that people are listening. And it will also tell you when a new episode comes out. And if you want to reach out to me directly, GraceLifeCoaching.com is the website. I would really love to hear from you. GraceLifeCoaching.com. That's how you can get a hold of me. It's got all my contact information in it. So I want to continue on in this vision of resiliency and building resiliency. Last time we talked about workplace resiliency. Today I want to talk about physical resiliency. How to be resilient when you are looking at your physical reality. So physical resiliency is really, really important. I want to explore this kind of vision that doesn't just glorify punishing past exhaustion, but the kind of physical resiliency that honors the body's limits, listens to its signals, and builds strength through respect and not punishment. Look, most of us in our lives are not training for huge physical events. Most of us just want to stay in shape, get in shape, feel a little bit better physically, because when we feel better physically, we do better mentally, emotionally, in the workplace, in relationships. So this really isn't about, looking to push past, into those deep training things. If that's where you are, if you're doing deep training to run a marathon or to, something of that nature, this will still hit home. It'll just hit home a little bit differently. But for most of us, we're just trying to wedge physical wellness into a very busy schedule. And sometimes when we do that, we can try to push past a balanced physical resiliency. And so I want to dig into that today. I want to talk about working with your body rather than against it. Look, your body is not a machine. It functions as a machine sometimes, but it's not a machine. It's a living, adapting, communicating organism. And it speaks to us. It speaks through tension, fatigue, energy, cravings, pain, stillness, relaxation, breath. These are all ways that the body communicates with us. And when we learn to be more physically resilient, we begin to listen. We listen with gentleness, honesty, and patience. And that's really what we want to do when we build this resilient relationship with our bodies. So let's dig into that a little bit. Let's talk about what that looks like. Physical resiliency is understanding that your body has the capability to recover, the ability to adapt, the strength to function even under stress, and the wisdom to rest when needed. This is not achieving a certain weight or body type or athletic ability. Again, if you're training for something, that's different, but it still hits home. This is for most of us, when we become resilient in our body, when we become connected to our body, it's not about finding that certain weight or that body type or that athletic ability. It's about creating a relationship with your body that feels supportive, sustainable, and compassionate. Physical resiliency is built upon consistency, not intensity. Recovery. So we want to be consistent, but we also want to build recovery into that consistency. It's not a grind culture. We don't have to grind through things. We work, we recover. It's about patience and not urgency. And long-term habits and not quick fixes. Look, if you're sitting there right now and you're thinking, wow, I'm really out of shape. You didn't wake up this morning this way. This is something that took a long period of time to get here. So it's going to take you time to get out of there. So having that consistency, having that recovery time and that patience and building good long-term habits is how we become physically resilient and how we walk with our body rather than working against it. When we approach our body with force or punishment, shame or comparison, we weaken our body and we weaken that resiliency relationship with our body. But when we approach it with curiosity, compassion, and respect, we start to strengthen that resiliency, that physical resiliency. Because physical resiliency can break down. It really can. And I want to talk a little bit about where physical resiliency breaks down. It breaks down when we ignore fatigue. Fatigue is not failure. Fatigue is information. Okay? When we feel fatigue, that's information. That's the body sending us signals. But we often override that feeling with caffeine or adrenaline or pressure or expectation or the fear of falling behind. Fatigue is one of those places where resiliency breaks down. We're not at our best when we're fatigued. And when we push our bodies into that fatigue deeper by fueling it with additives or pushing past it or just running on adrenaline, it leads to injury and illness and burnout and emotional instability. We really do. It leads to these things that can really set us back. But when we're physically resilient, we listen when exhaustion is a signal to us. We listen to our body that says, I'm tired. And it's not an inconvenience. Like, gosh, I'm so inconvenient that I'm tired. No, this is a reality. And we want to listen to that reality. Physical resilience listens to our body, particularly when fatigue comes into play. When we are tired, when we are low energy, we want to listen to that. That is a signal for us. Physical resiliency breaks down when we're exercising from shame. I've said this before, and I think it's really, really important. We don't change out of hate. We don't change because we hate ourselves. We don't change because we shame ourselves. As a matter of fact, that's not a good fuel for change. It might be an immediate motivator, but it's not long-term sustainability. We change when we love ourselves. So when we love ourselves where we are, but we want to be better, that love can fuel us for long-term change. But when we exercise, when we do these things out of shame, when we look at our bodies and say, I hate my body because I'm overweight or what have you, then it comes into, the movement is punishment or a reaction to guilt, a way to earn food, a way to prove worth. You can't shame your body into strength. You can't shame long-term change, okay? Your body needs compassion and love and support for long-term change. But when shame is present, what happens is it turns the body into something we hate. Now think about this. If you hate your body is there all the time. You are walking around eating, sleeping, working with something that you hate. Well, that hatred will ultimately burn into you in a way that you'll reject your body. And that's where the shame comes in. We don't want to do that because physical resiliency breaks down with that. We become in competition with our body, not in unison and walk with our body. So we don't want to exercise and eat right out of shame. We want to do it because we love our bodies and we love our life and we want our life to continue and get better. Another place that it breaks down is that all or nothing thinking. I missed a workout, so my week is ruined, or I'm not seeing the progress, so why bother? If I can't give 100%, I can't give anything. This mindset destroys consistency. It does. It destroys consistency. Are we going to miss workouts? Yeah, it's going to happen. Are we going to see progress all the time? No, we're not. Are we going to see the scale go down or our waist get thinner every day? No, we're not going to. But resiliency in the physical realm, physical resiliency says something is better than nothing. I may not be able to work out 100%, but I'm still going to work out. I'm still going to move. Small steps count. Progress is imperfect. There is no linear progress. Progress doesn't just keep climbing, like one of them games from The Price is Right. No, progress is up and down, back and forward. It's very circular. It's very, it's not very linear. And so when we look at progress and it's all or nothing, this is either going to work or it isn't, then what happens is we break down our resiliency. We want to move away from that kind of thinking. The idea of pushing through the pain, what is it? No pain, no gain. Now look, when we move our body, okay, there is a discomfort and a discomfort that builds strength. When we work out, then we have a discomfort as our body recovers. When we fast or when we eat less, yes, we're going to feel that discomfort of hunger. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about discomfort here. I'm talking about pain. Pain signals harm, okay? When we're in pain, we weaken resilience when we cannot distinguish between discomfort and pain. Discomfort is important because discomfort means we're moving and we're challenging. Pain means that we are hurting, that something is wrong, and we need to address that. When we are physically resilient, we can say, I know when to stop. I know when the pain is too much. I know when to reset. I know when to adjust. Okay? We want to understand that the signals of pain are not a weakness. They're important. They're information like fatigue. And we want to embrace that understanding and that information and make decisions accordingly. Another big thing is sleep. Look, sleep less to do more. Isn't that what the culture says? I mean, if you get 2 or 3 hours sleep, then you've got all this time to do all these things. Sleep is non-negotiable. Sleep is not an optional self-care, my friends. Sleep is vital, because when we don't sleep, even if we feel like we can keep pushing through, sleep decreases our immune system. We are more susceptible to disease and viruses. We are more susceptible to getting sick. Sleep is important for emotional stability. We have to process through our day, and we do that while we're sleeping, okay? So if we don't sleep, then we just get all balled up emotional, and our stability goes down. Stress tolerance weakens when we don't sleep. I mean, think about it. When you've had a bad night's sleep, do you handle stress well? No, we don't. Clarity disappears. All of these things. Sleeping is essential to self-care. It is essential to physical resiliency. If we don't sleep, then we can't be physically resilient. We are immediately pulling our physicality back and giving us less when we don't sleep. So sleep less to do more, that is not a good mentality. That is actually a destructive mentality. Even though the world says you need to run on a 36-hour day with 3 hours of sleep and 127 ounces of caffeine a day, that's being productive. Sleep is not optional in self-care. And if you're looking to grow and if you're looking to expand, I've said this many times, sleep is where we begin the work. Physical resiliency starts with sleep, your sleep pattern. I've done podcast episodes on the importance of sleep. So sleep is not optional. So get out of that sleep less, do more mindset and get into a mindset that says sleep isn't optional. Sleep is important. It is necessary for my physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual well-being. So like anything, this takes time to build. It takes intentionality. When we are looking to grow and expand, we have to be intentional about it. So I want to talk about some intentional things that we can do to help build our physical resiliency. One is practice micro movements. If you're not moving at all, okay, if you're thinking about this and you're like, well, I haven't been to the gym in months. I need to get to the gym now. I haven't moved. Now I'm going to move. If you're not moving at all, then start practicing micro movements. Move a little bit. Even if you are moving and you have a busy day and you're not going to get to the gym or you're not going to work out, practice micro movements. 5 minutes of stretching. You can do that in your office. You can do that over your lunch break. 5 minutes of stretching. Get your body stretched out. Maybe 10 minutes worth of walking. Slice off 10 minutes from your lunch break and go for a walk or on the building or outside. Do a few push-ups or some gentle yoga stretches. Something. Find a micro movement. And we are not without information. Trust me, you can go on YouTube and you can search 5-minute Tai Chi, 5-minute yoga, 5-minute breathing, 5-minute stretching, whatever it is, and you're going to find it. You're going to have a teacher, a master who's going to teach you, guide you through it. It is not about not having access. It's about being intentional about it, about intentionally building micro movements every day. Because what happens with intentionality and discipline is it grows. 5 minutes becomes 7 minutes. 7 minutes becomes 10 minutes. And all of a sudden, you're building a long-term habit of making this movement into your body. And it's going to change you. It's going to build your physical resiliency. So if you're doing nothing intentional about movement, and you're thinking, I'd really like to do some movement, I'd really like to start building some of this in, be intentional and start with something extraordinarily small. 5 minutes of micro movement. And if you're thinking to yourself, I don't know if I have 5 minutes in my day, I would challenge you to do this. Go on your phone, and in the settings portion of your phone, doesn't matter what phone you have, if it's a smartphone and you use apps on it like Facebook or Instagram, what have you, there should be a place where you can find how many minutes a day you're on those different apps, you're on your phone. And I would probably say that it is more than 10 minutes, because that's just the nature of how we use these devices. You can carve out 5 minutes to move your body. You can carve out 5 minutes to stretch or have a little bit of Tai Chi or a little bit of yoga or take a little bit of a walk. Small acts compound, and they compound into resiliency. We grow in resilience through these small acts. Build recovery into your routine. If you're working out, if you're now starting to push your body, build recovery into your routines. Recovery is not failure. We want to get out of that mindset of thinking that recovery is failure. It is not. It is strategy. When we push our muscles too hard, too far, they don't have a chance to recover and grow. So add in rest days, add in stretching moments, add in some kind of breathing practice. Make sure you're getting hydrated. Your body thrives on recovery, and sleep is a big recovery time. We recover when we sleep. You ever find yourself, you go to the gym and you work out, it's like, I feel great, and you wake up the next morning and you're like, oh, I'm really discomforted because of that workout. That's because your body's recovering, and it happens while you sleep. So build in recovery time. Don't see recovery as something that is a weakness. See it as vital to your process. Whatever your process is, build in recovery time. Adapting a language of respect. The way we talk to ourselves, again, going back to that shame, going back to that disconnection with the body, build in a language of respect. Replace things like, I have to work out. I hate working out. I have to work out. Do something like, I get to move my body today. I have the privilege of moving my body today. I don't have to go out in a field. I'm not enslaved by anybody else. I have the time. I have the availability and the resources. I get to do this. Okay? See it as a privilege, not as a command. When we do that, we can replace why we do it. When we get to the why, that's really, really important. So why do we do this? I have to work out today. Well, no one's making you, but you have the privilege of working out today. I get to move my body today, whatever that is, whether it's stretching or going to the gym or taking a walk or whatever. Replace that language. Rather than saying, I am weak. Weakness is something we want to run from. I am weak. I'm rebuilding. I'm building something new. When we're building a house, it takes a lot of work, but the completed process isn't done until all the work is done. We can start to see it when the foundation is dug and laid, but we need to see the whole thing before it's finished. You're rebuilding. You're rebuilding something great. You're rebuilding your body. Maybe you've worked a lot and you let your physicality go. Maybe you had a child and you're rebuilding your body after having a child. Maybe you've been ill or hurt and you're rebuilding. It's not weakness, it's rebuilding. There is no place where we're supposed to be. We are where we are. And you're rebuilding into something more, something better, something greater. Replace I am behind with I'm on my own timeline. Someone isn't going to say, you have to lose 50 pounds by the end of the year. That may be your goal, and goals are great and they're important, but that may not be achievable. So I'm not behind. I'm on my own timeline. I'm doing what I can within what I'm doing. This is all how we build physical resiliency. Because if we feel like we're behind, we overcompensate. We overcompensate. You know what? I ate too much yesterday, so therefore I'm not going to eat anything today. Well, that's not necessarily a good strategy. You can dial back your calories and rethink your things, but that's not a good strategy just to try to catch up, because we don't catch up. We don't. I hear a lot of people say, I sleep 4 hours a week and then I sleep for 12 hours on Saturday to catch up. You don't catch up. You're not behind. You're on your own timeline. So adapt a language of respect for yourself, respect for your body, respect for your health. Listen to the signals of your body. Ask your body. Again, this is a communicative organism. It is not a machine. It's not like a car where you just get in and put the key in or push the button and it starts up and it does what you expect it to do. Then you turn it off and walk away. Your body is a living organism and you need to listen to it. Listen to what it says. Ask it questions. Does this feel like overload or challenge? Am I working too hard or am I pressing beyond my, getting into the discomfort of my limit? There's a big difference. Pressing too hard and getting beyond the discomfort of my limits are two different things. If you bench press 50 pounds for 10 reps 3 times, you might want to add 55 pounds. That would be challenge into your discomfort. But adding another 50 pounds, that would be an overload. So listen to your body. Do I need rest or movement? What does my body need today? Not your head, because your head's going to be like rest, always sit. No, rest or movement. What does my body need today? I've been moving and moving and moving. My body needs to sit. Listen for the signals. Am I tense or am I energized? Is this what I'm feeling inside my body, tension or energy? Listen to it. Communicate with your body and listen to what your body says, because your body knows, even if your brain doesn't want to listen. Okay? Set sustainable rituals. Rituals are important. Rituals build discipline. Discipline builds resiliency. So set sustainable rituals, kind of like what we were talking about earlier, a short walk after meals or a morning stretch, a weekly strength training, regular hydration, things of that nature. Set those rituals because ritual becomes routine. Routine becomes discipline. Discipline becomes growth. That's how it works. When we set rituals, I'm going to do my stretching 5 minutes after I drink my first cup of coffee every morning. So sooner or later, your brain's like, hey, you just drank your cup of coffee. It's 5 minutes later, we're stretching. That ritual becomes sustainability. That is why we make rituals, so it's sustainable. Think about the ritual of brushing your teeth. One of the last things you do before you go to bed is brush your teeth. Do you think about it? No, you just do it because you've done it for so long. That is a sustainable ritual. And nourish your body without punishment. Nourish your body without punishment. Your body acts like a furnace. It burns fuel. It needs fuel. So eat to fuel strength. All right? Eat to fuel strength. Look at your process of nourishment. Is it strength or is it weakness? I was talking to someone just recently talking about medicine or toxin. Okay? So what you're eating, is what you're eating medicine towards growing your body and nourishing it, or toxin towards turning it back? What am I talking about? I'm craving something sweet, and we all crave something sweet. Sometimes I'm craving something sweet. So if I want to nourish my body, I'm going to have a piece of fruit, an apple, a banana, an orange, a mango, some grapes. Or I'm going to feed it toxin. I'm not going to nourish it. I'm going to eat a donut or something really heavy carbs and sweet like cake or candy. Nourish your body without punishment. Rest to repair strength. So eat to fuel your strength, rest to repair strength, move to express strength. Resilience is rooted in nourishment. Sleep and nourishment. Making sure that we get our sleep and making sure that we nourish our bodies well helps us to move and become physically resilient. Because physical resiliency, again, we are all physical beings, and our physicality affects everything. Everything. Think about if you have back pain, okay? You wake up in the morning and your back is spasming, and it happens. That's going to affect everything. It's going to affect your mental process, your physical process, your emotions, your mentality, all of it. So we want to work with our bodies. We want to come into a positive, balanced relationship with our bodies and build that physical resiliency. That's what I have for you for today, my friends. I hope it's helpful. If it is, please share it out there. If you want to reach out to me directly, gracelifecoaching.com is the website. I truly would love to hear from you because at Grace Life Coaching, we want you to be the best you.